Hi, this is Sue from the Mountain Canary Company. Ed's going to talk about some of the books that he has for reference material on packing. And here he goes. Ed?
Welcome, folks. This is visit number 20 with you folks on the series, and hopefully giving you information and ideas on how to get out there using your horses and mules in the backcountry trail riding and packing. When I grew up, I was somewhat vaccinated with the idea of learning. I grew up at a time when the television set came on at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and went off at 10 o'clock at night, and Howdy Doody really didn't hold a lot of information for me. But my little library down the road a ways did, and I used it extensively. So that's got me into really believing in books, and I'm been a ferocious reader and a ferocious historian type. And now's the time of year where you're going to be sitting in front of the fire with your feet up, toasting your wool socks. And it's a good time to start planning on what you're going to be learning and doing next year with your horses and mules, planning to get back in the mountains. So one of the easiest way to do that at home with that toddy in your hand and that warm fire on your toes is to actually have a couple of good books on your hand. Many books are available on the subject, and I suggest Amazon, which is an easy place to find these. And we will go over with a whole slug of them over here with you. This is only actually some of what I've used or referenced. And let's just wander over to the table here. I'll have Sue just kind of follow me over there, and we'll set you up here and take a look at some of these and go over them with you. Okay, we'll see you in a second here, folks. Thanks, folks, for following me over here to the table. Sue's got us all set up over here on the table with the books and the camera. Boy, she's doing a great job. First off, I want to show you is our Packer's Guidebook. It's a full packing clinic in a book. I think you'll probably find it very useful, very handy, and we show you how we do it. And it's not one of the cases when you're dealing with Sue or myself. It's not a case of, this is how you got to do it, kid. It's a case of how we're showing you how we do it in the hopes this will help you to figure out the best way for you to do it. Okay, our next book is, pushing that one out of frame. Our next book is also one of our books, the Mountain Canary Company Packer's Guidebook Companion, Trail Skills and More. Again, that's a series of pieces, articles, essays that relate directly to the first book and relate to going into the backcountry, what you carry with you, what kind of tools you take, things that you can't compile all in one book. The problem with putting all of this in one book, and possibly, and very soon, a third edition, will be the fact the book's too big and too dang expensive to print, which means I can't sell it very easily to you folks. It's going to be hurting your pocketbook. So thank you again. We're going to move on. Okay, the next book is a very interesting little book, kind of a fun book. Joe Back's book, Horses, Hitches, and Rocky Mountains. This is a fun book to read. There's just a ton of information in there. This will go really well with your toasty toes and that little glass of hooch in your hand. And there are some very interesting things in here. It starts to make you thinking, you know, I wonder if I could fix this a little different. I wonder if I can do that. It's a good book to get you going. It's a really good little book, and I highly recommend it. And we'll have Sue move that. Another one here is a book I don't use very often, but it's a book written and set out by the Wyoming Extension agent. And so I think it's still in print. It's got lots of stuff in it. Again, what you want to do is compile as much information. Use it or not, you've got it, and you put it away in your brain matter, and someday it works for you. Okay, next one. This is an old standby for many folks. Packing on Mules and Horses. It's a very interesting book. It's a real good read. It gives you a lot more information on what you can do in the backcountry with these animals, but at the same time, it's a limiting book in some ways. It limits you in one system and one way of doing things. It may not be that you want to do it this way. And so it's one way only, mani packing, and that's all there is to it. Okay, next one. though it's good reference. This is a book called Packing with Horse Packing in Pictures. Now, again, this book is the author's slant on it. It's got lots of sketchy things to do. It's been around a long time. Again, it doesn't hurt at all. It's material, it's information. Read through it, absorb it, put it into your reference material so you can always go back and get it again. This is an excellent little book, and sadly to say, the author, Stacy Gebhardt, has just passed away at the time of this broadcast. When Mules Wear Diamonds, a really good little book full of excellent drawings and information, alternatives. Now, this is what's nice about a lot of these books. They'll show you alternative ways of doing something. In other words, there's not just one way. He shows you a different slant on it, which gets you thinking, maybe, I wonder, once you get packing a bit, I wonder if I change that just a little bit. You'd be surprised what can happen. Now, moving along, I'm going to first throw a couple books out here for you. This book is, whenever you get a chance, pick up books on subjects that relate. Here's an old book, an old published book, Horses, Saddles, Bridles. It's about the United States Cavalry. Here's another one. This is the Cavalry Horse and His Pack. This really was an interesting book. This book got me really thinking about how to tie on fork bags and how to deal with some of like my candle bag issues and how to secure them so they weren't getting in the way. I studied this book and the photographs in here extensively, and they really gave me a lot of good ideas. Now, here's a fun read for you folks who are mule riders. This is a really neat book written by Riley. This Riley was a fellow who was in charge of all the mules during the Civil War. Yeah, it's a really interesting book, and it's his slant on how to deal with mules and how he dealt with mules. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of mules. Okay, moving on. I'm going to put a pile here in front of you. Now, let me get this organized. Okay, the most interesting book I've found amongst all of them is this book here. It's Henry Daly's book, Manual of Pack Transportation. Again, Daly, Manual of Pack Transportation. It's a 1904 book when he was the quartermaster, head of the quartermaster department of packers. And it goes into how, it tells us how he did it before we got to here. And in reality, they had a far more sophisticated process of dealing with it than we do. The saddles that we're using today with wooden trees and wood crossbucks or metal hoops, they would have been classified in those days as an expeditionary saddle, a saddle they would only make and use when they got someplace and couldn't get their regular apareros. So this is a very fascinating book. You'll find it very interesting. Now, I'm going to flip this out of the way here, Sue. The next book is a book written by Charles Post. He's taken the Manual of Pack Transportation, which is full of photographs, and they're grainy because they were plates. And he's compiled them into drawings. Very interesting book, a very interesting man in himself. And the thing about it is, okay, Manual Pack Transportation tells us a lot in the book. There's a tremendous amount of material in there, tremendous amount, which may give you ideas of how you should deal with stuff today. But it is not at all without dating. It predates everything. So it's a good idea to understand where we've been so we don't have to wonder out what was behind us. Okay, this other book down here called Packing is just a book that some of the material was taken out of this. The military pack saddles evolved from apareros, which means pad in Spanish, to different types of exostructured saddles. And then this book here goes into one of those, which was later called a Phillips. Not anything in relationship to what they call a Phillips form fitter saddle, not at all. This was an exostructure. But someday we'll be all back into this dealing with pack saddles, because what happened is I took what I learned out of Daly's books and what I've learned about military pack saddles around the world, and I started to wonder out how I could modify our pack saddles to work more efficiently like some of these did. And so that's what really helped me to get in more information on. And then coming to the end here, for folks who like to continue to look into magazines, you know, Western Mule Magazine is probably the nicest magazine on the planet. And it deals with not just mules, but dealing with animals. It's written by a mom and pa operation out of Missouri. Wonderful people, wonderful magazine. I've written for them for 13 years. Also, one other thing, a fellow named Robert Eversole, the Trailmeister, is working really hard at building a website. It'll be www.trailmeister.com, and in there you'll find ongoing videos about some of the subjects we're talking about getting out in the backcountry horses and mules and packing. He's really working his butt off to do a good job for you. Now, if I can step back over here and talk to you again for just a second before we end this. I really appreciate y'all coming by and spending time with us. I want you to really take a good time to visit there with these magazines. Keep warm, keep cozy this winter time. And what these are this is seed material, so that you can start thinking about how you're going to get out there, how you're going to do it. This is imagination builders. Imaginations are plans. Man's plans don't fail. He fails to make a plan. So make a plan. Plan on getting out there. Plan on how you're going to do it. And here's some stuff that'll help you. Thank you very much for coming by and visiting with us again. We really appreciate the time with you. And remember, get out there as often as you can riding, but always, always, always ride as safely as you can. I want to see you all back here, number 21. See you, folks.